Hi, welcome back to 10 Minute Strategy. My name is Peter Propp from Shore Communications. We are here with the two Daves, Dave Lynch and Dave Dean. They work for a company called LiveMind. And first we're going to talk to Dave Dean. He's the founder, the president, and runs the technical aspects of LiveMind. And Dave, why don't you tell us how you came up with the idea for LiveMind and what you were thinking about at the time?
Sure, and thanks for having us today, Peter. So as Peter said, I'm the president and founder of LiveMind, and really the idea stemmed from, I used to work for a company that provided education across the United States, actually across the world, and I built some systems for them to manage their meeting rooms. And what happened was people kept coming in and asking for very specific educational solutions, and they would say, could you do this, could you do this? And what we learned quickly is that although we could do it technically, the challenge is that when we would put these very specific solutions out in the marketplace, they couldn't drum up enough demand for these solutions because of the inherent geographic restrictions. So they couldn't get an audience, basically. Wow. And what we quickly said was, well, how do we eliminate these restrictions? And this was back right before the bank meltdown. So when the bank meltdown happened, the idea of moving these classes into an online environment was not something that they were willing to invest in. But I thought it was a terrific idea. And then when I took it beyond just what this company was out there teaching, it became a really compelling idea that, boy, you could really go and teach anything in this live online environment. Right. And that's where the idea for, hey, we're going to have very specific niche content. There will be broad-based content as well, but how do we get teachers for that? And that's where the idea came from. Let's allow experts in every field to come in, enable them to create their own teaching business. And that's where the idea of a massive marketplace for live online learning really came from. And it's very much like the eBay model where anybody can come in and teach and earn money off of their expertise. One of the great things as the idea continued to evolve is that it's not just for teachers. Everybody seems to have an expertise in at least one thing. Mm-hmm. And if you go to just teachers, sometimes these teachers who are teaching in the local community college or even in their local environments, they may be great teachers, but they don't have the same practical experience that you have if you're living what you're doing every day. So myself, for example, I was doing a lot of coding, and I actually may be a better teacher than some of the guys teaching software development because I was living it and doing it every day. Right. But in order for me to teach online, I would have had to align with a teaching institution. I would have had to market that class, perhaps pay for a room or pay for the marketing. And what we've done is we've really knocked down all those barriers. So now you can get people who live what they're teaching, what their expertise is, and learn from really the best in the country on the topic of your choice.
Great. So let me just interrupt you and ask you to sort of restate the vision in like the short elevator version, if you could, because you talked about a lot of cool stuff. But let's say what do you guys want to do? What do you want to achieve?
I mean, our ultimate goal is to create a massive marketplace for online learning where students can come in and teach and learn virtually anything that they can think about, and teachers can actually create an online teaching business.
Great. So really, you're supporting a cottage industry of people who have expertise, and you're connecting to people that want to know stuff.
Exactly.
And you're the enabling sort of eBay in between.
We are, and we make it easy to post the classes. We make it easy to charge. We make it easy to submit your payment. And one of the great things is we provide a guarantee, because if you're a student and you're going to take a class from somebody who's claiming to be an expert, well, you may go online and they may not truly be an expert. In that case, right, if you're a student on LiveMind, you don't have to pay for that class.
Right. And when you look at the overall market opportunity, just give me the broad numbers that you're looking at in this space.
Our main competitors are actually the continuing education providers today. So your local community college, your local high school, and the marketplace for that in offline continuing education is roughly $30 billion. And it's hard to quantify because there's a lot of things inside of that number. But we see a $30 billion opportunity. But what we also see is that much like eBay really increased the value of things that you would sell in your local garage sale by making it available to a much broader audience of potential buyers, we think the same is true for learning, where we can see some topics, some very specific targeted topics that a local community college, it just would not be cost effective for them to offer because they couldn't draw a wide enough audience. That will now be offered on our platform, and we think the potential for that marketplace could actually rival the potential for the existing, or the existing marketplace.
Interesting. So talk for a little bit about the platform. I know you are right now focused on Adobe, but I loved when we spoke earlier this week. You were talking about the fact that you've chosen one platform, but that may not be the platform in the future, and you're totally fine with whatever your technology decisions are down the road.
Right. So early on, when I was sitting alone in my office, starting LiveMind and building this myself, and looking at that everything that needed to be built, I knew that the online classroom was going to be a critical component of this solution that we have. Right. And there were several options out there, and there were also options to build a solution of our own. And what I decided is that there was no way that myself, or even as the company has been growing, that we could compete with some of the online meeting and teaching software providers out there. If you take a look, you've got WebEx, Adobe, GoToMeeting, you've got a solution, Archidin, and then you've got a bunch of other players who kind of are in that next level. And what we realize is that we're not going to be able to compete with the WebExes, Adobes, and GoToMeetings of the world. Right. So in our platform, we built the platform using, in tech terms, it's called a provider model. And what that means is that we can swap out the providers, with very little technical effort. So we've decided that we're going to always stick with the best of breed solution. And right now, for the state of where our solution is, we've gone with Adobe because what we found is that Adobe is highly customizable, but we also think it is the easiest platform for a new teacher and a new student to use. Because those in the business world, many people have been in an online meeting before, but the general public, the numbers that have actually been in an online meeting or used a WebEx or Adobe software before is actually quite low. So we went with what we think is the easiest solution. And Adobe, it's not that it's not fully functional, but it's a great, easy solution for somebody new to this environment to use.
Right. And doesn't require any installs. Everyone's got the Adobe stuff. Any APIs?
Thanks for mentioning. I mean, it's great because if you have a browser, any of the major browsers, you don't have to download a plugin to launch Adobe. You can just launch it. Right. The one drawback is it's a Flash player based, so it doesn't work on the iPad. But we're looking at solutions to overcome that. So somebody who wants to take it on a portable tablet will also be able to take classes as well.
Okay, cool. And so here's one question that we didn't cover earlier in the week that I've been wondering. Say I want to take a class, but I'm the only one who signed up for it. When does the teacher decide they're gonna teach the class, or how does that exactly work between the teacher and the student?
Well, the first thing is what a teacher can do is a teacher can go out and this is a challenge for teacher marketing is how many dates do I put out there? Because if you want to be as flexible as possible so that people can take the class of their choice, but if you have too many dates out there, you don't get enough people for the interaction in the class. Right. Now, a teacher can decide if nobody has signed up for their class, it can automatically delete it. Right. Based on a teacher's setting that they put in, so that at the last minute somebody doesn't come in and sign up a half hour before, and they weren't thinking that anybody was going to show up. Now, our platform right now, if one person signs up, then we generally offer that class, and teachers often offer that class, even one-to-one. A lot of times, some of the feedback that we've got from the students is this was great. It was one-on-one consulting. For a teacher, clearly their model is to get more people in, and we do. If a teacher wants to cancel the class, we will cancel the class, send a note to the student, and the student has the option. They can move to another date, or they can just decide to no longer be a member of that class.
Right, because it would be pretty cheap, and the classes can be quite reasonable. So if you charge $10 for a class, only one person shows up, you're only getting $10 for your hour, basically.
Right, right, and that is, that goes back to us helping them market their class, and they're doing their own self-marketing, and the goal is to grow the classes. Once you start getting into 5 people in a class, it starts to become very economically feasible, even if it's reasonable. Mm-hmm. And imagine you're charging $15 for a class, and you've got 5 people in, you're still making $75 an hour, which is a pretty good paycheck
for sitting at your desk. That's not too bad at all. All right, well, this wraps up first part of our discussion on LiveMind. Thanks to Dave Dean, the founder. We're going to come back and do part 2 with Dave Lynch, the CEO who's responsible for the marketing and sales side of LiveMind. So for 10 Minute Strategy, this is Peter Propp. Thanks, Dave Dean.
Thank you, Peter.